Выходи, блядь! Выходи давай! Вышел нахуй! Вышел быстро просто! Выходите нахуй, либо шахтить нахуй!
On a gray stretch of the Eastern Front, Ukrainian assault teams advanced low and fast across churned earth, closing the distance to a network of Russian foxholes carved into a tree line. The action, carried out by elements of Ukraine's Azov formations alongside other units, underscored a familiar pattern of the war. Small, aggressive infantry pushes designed to crack entrenched positions inch by inch.
Granata!
According to Ukrainian military accounts, the assault followed days of reconnaissance and drone surveillance that mapped firing lanes and identified command nodes. As dawn broke, suppressive fire pinned defenders while assault groups moved in short bounds, using shell craters and folds in the ground for cover. The objective was narrow but critical: neutralize the foxholes that had been harassing nearby supply routes and observation posts.
Сколько еще там? Быстро, сука, следующий! Еще следующий! Да быстро был! Давай, выходи быстро!
Footage released after the engagement showed tightly coordinated teams clearing positions with grenades and close-quarters tactics. Smoke obscured the approach, while drones hovered overhead, relaying live imagery back to commanders. In modern trench warfare, those eyes in the sky have become as decisive as boots on the ground, allowing attackers to adjust routes and time their rushes with precision. The fight is about momentum and coordination, said a Ukrainian officer familiar with the operation, speaking on condition of anonymity. You suppress, you move, you clear, and you don't stop until the position is secured. He emphasized that assaults are planned to minimize exposure, with medics staged close behind and evacuation routes pre-marked. The Russian defenses reflected the grinding nature of the conflict. Shallow foxholes reinforced with timber, overlapping fields of fire, and communication trenches linking small strong points. Such positions can stall advances for weeks, but they are vulnerable when isolated. Once one node falls, neighboring positions often face flanking pressure, forcing a withdrawal or surrender. Analysts note that these localized actions rarely make headlines on their own, yet they shape the front line's daily reality. This war is decided in hundreds of small fights like this, said a regional security expert. Taking a few foxholes can open observation, reduce artillery threats, and create space for the next move. For the soldiers involved, the battle was personal and immediate. Close quarters fighting compresses time and space, demanding discipline under stress. After the assault, engineers moved in to reverse the terrain, deepening captured positions, laying new cover, and preparing for counterattacks that often follow within hours. Ukraine's command has highlighted such operations as evidence of adaptive tactics and growing integration of drones, infantry, and indirect fire. Russian sources, meanwhile, have downplayed losses and emphasized the fluidity of the front, an indication of the information war that mirrors the fighting on the ground. As winter conditions give way to muddy thaw, the battlefield remains unforgiving. Yet for Ukrainian units pushing forward, Each seized foxhole represents more than a few meters of ground. It's a reduction in threat, a gain in visibility, and a reminder that even in a war dominated by artillery and drones, determined infantry still decide outcomes, one trench at a time.
Народ, давай нахуй тащи бутылку. Вылазь или тебе пизда.
Here, both sides in the war are using hundreds, maybe thousands, of FPV drones every day. Some of them are rather heavy and scary RPG warheads. These are attempting to knock out armored vehicles and other harder targets. Many carry lighter, specialized charges and are targeting personnel. No, Ukraine is developing and testing heavier FPVs, meant to utilize some of the existing ammo. FPV drones are absolutely changing warfare as we speak. They already did. They are highly portable. Many fit in a backpack. They can also be assembled without centralized factories. Not to mention their effectiveness. Small FPV drones can carry out maneuvers that are simply not possible for the best of anti-tank missiles. A simple anti-tank FPV can be 1,000 times cheaper than something like the Javelin anti-tank missile. There are ways to defend against them, but generally, several strikes do the job. Usually, anti-tank FPVs use RPG-7 projectiles for warheads. They normally weigh around 3 to 4.5 kilograms and are readily available, and rather simple in nature. Normally, RPG projectiles are unguided, and a simple FPV transforms them into long-range tank killers. But Ukraine has other types of ammo that could benefit from an FPV platform. It's been reported that Ukrainian company Ukrainian Armor is already testing fixed-wing FPV drones that can carry regular 82mm and 120mm mortar shells. At first, the lighter shell will be used. It usually weighs 3 to 4 kilograms. Why fixed wing? Well, it could be potentially cheaper. It could also be faster and cover longer distances. While the data on the range is unknown, some sources stress that a fixed-wing FPV drone could conceivably fly 5 to 10 times further. That is just the advantage of having wings. They generate lift without moving and can sustain forward flight a bit better, although maneuverability would suffer. Using 120mm mortar shells would make for a very powerful FPV. These projectiles weigh around 13 to 16 kilograms, much more than RPG projectiles or 82mm shells. That would be a powerful boom, and highly controlled in terms of targeting too. Conventional mortars are still great artillery weapons, but in the war of drones and counter-battery fire, they are a little tricky to use. These fixed-wing FPVs would allow Ukraine to use a lot of ammo, which may not be utilized to its full potential right now. They are hoping that these new fixed-wing FPVs can be codified and approved in a few months. Production would utilize 3D printing and other modern technologies to make drones quickly.